All right. Hangout is on air. Welcome to Podnutz Computer Repair Podcast number 105. And we're just going to check our stream, and then we will get started. All righty. And it looks like it is gone live.
Cool.
Hey, Chris, do you have it? I had to show a picture, and then it didn't go.
I don't have the live one up, but if you give me a minute, I can pull it.
I've got a play button, but it's not playing. Does somebody have speakers on in the background somewhere?
I don't. I just have my headphones.
Okay.
Headphones.
Oh, I do, but it wasn't given a problem before. Hold on. Try now?
Every once in a while I hear it echo. Yeah, I can just hear it slightly.
You know what? I'm gonna quit and rejoin. Give me a second.
Okay.
I don't have the live one up, but you can...
Oh, there you go. That's a delay from 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, at least it's up and running. That's all I'm concerned about. Okay. So I will stop that. And we'll let Chris join back up, and then we'll get started.
Yeah, see, this time, Jeff, I'm actually hardwired into the internet, not doing wireless.
Oh, cool. That's tends to be better.
Still not the best internet in the world, but still better to be wired in.
Yeah, you sound good. You look good. So yeah, we're good. All right, let me send Chris an invite. All right.
Welcome back, Chris.
Thank you.
Everything all right there?
I think so.
Okay.
How does the is the audio? Oh, you can't see me now.
No, I can't see you.
Oh, for
We see your name.
whatever.
We can see your
Put down
profile.
on technology.
Can you just turn your camera on in your settings?
Trying.
Oh, that was a happy sound. Who faded?
I don't know.
Not me.
No, you're
There you
still
go.
there.
That's the one.
Might have to send him another rejoin link. We'll see.
Oh, he went off again?
Yeah, he's coming back in. There it is.
Welcome back again, Chris.
Okay, and I'm willing to bet that we don't have the feedback anymore.
No, we don't.
No, there's
Because
no...
I am off.
Okay. Whatever.
What? I fixed it. What do you want?
Well,
Congratulations. Good work.
let me give you a hand.
That only works while I'm fixing it, Jeff. You ruined the joke.
Okay. There was no joke. Anyways, okay. So is everybody ready to go?
Ready to rock.
I think we're all good here.
All right. And here we go. Welcome to Podnutz Computer Repair Podcast, episode number 105. I am Jeff Halash. This is our live call-in show for computer repair techs. The call-in number is 1-888-697-0162. Let me introduce the co-hosts. First of all, from the Northern Tundra, we have Chris Carruthers from Remote Support Tech Team. How you doing, Chris?
Called Jeff. How are you?
That's what I hear. You're way far north.
Yeah.
I'm doing
I don't
good.
think I told you this. I bought a snowblower because of the snowstorm that we had, but you know, it wasn't as bad as some people, I guess.
No. And speaking of, let's also welcome to the show Dana Friedman from DragonflyTech.com. up in the, or actually out in the eastern tundra with a little bit of snow.
Dragonfly Technologies. Nope, no snow. No snow here. Upstate New York got 7 feet.
Oh, so you were able to avoid all that. That's good.
Yeah, we're downstate.
Okay, that's cool. And also joining us from the far west coast, we have Eli Egleston from Easy PC Repair. How you doing, Eli?
I'm doing wonderful. It's nice and warm here. Don't have to worry about the snow.
Rub it in, rub it in. No. So says my Florida friends too. Anyways, this is our live call-in show. This show is for you guys, the audience, to be able to call in, and we will answer your calls on the air or answer your questions. Or if you just want to add into the chat, that's fine. You can give us a call and add into whatever we're talking about. So this week I've gotten a couple emails, and we're going to go ahead and start off the show with that because I think we got a couple good topics that we can deal with on this particular show, and we'll just kind of see where it goes from there. All right, so the first email is from Chris Andrews, and it says, whatever. Okay, it says, Jeff, Podnutz is a great show, and thanks for your steady hand. It continues to thrive. You and your compadres, such as Chris Carruthers, have inspired me, as well as countless others, I'm sure, to move towards starting my own business, be it personal, freelancing, run from their house, me for now, or actual brick-and-mortar shop. Like you, I have a full-time job in the automotive industry, though unlike you, I do not work for a major motor company, but instead work for a small inventory management and marketing company, which works with hundreds of car dealerships. Specifically, I'm one of the 3 individuals in the tech support department and specialize and am responsible for the data aggregation part of our business, i.e., pulling inventory, sales, services, data from car dealerships, which is used for posting to websites, eBiz Autos, for example, in classified advertisements such as Craigslist, and in a variety of marketing campaigns. Sounds like you do a lot. That's all I can say.
Well, 3 people in the IT department.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. That is just a little background about me. Anyways, I am emailing you because I was hoping that you would consider discussing how each of you got your first few customers. Specifically, I would like to try a few clients without going full bore and spending unnecessary money on advertising, a website, financial software, etc. However, I will invest in a few tools. For example, I already have a free Repair Shopper account and plan on purchasing the TechNibble Business Kit to protect myself and my business from the get-go. Depending on how and when I get those first few clients, as well as the type of work required, it is also probable that I will take advantage of the Instant House Call 15-day trial, as it looks like a phenomenal service. Hopefully, if all goes well, I will be able to ramp up the business, putting more time, money, and energy into it as it grows. But getting my first few clients is my immediate goal. I believe you have said that much, if not most of your business, comes from referrals. But I would be interested to know how you went about getting those first few clients, family or friends, a website, classifieds, advertisements, etc. I would, of course, be interested in hearing what everyone on the show has to say. I know you're busy and probably have a number of topics already lined up, but if you found the time to discuss this, it would be greatly appreciated. Thanks in advance. Sincerely, Chris from Columbus, Ohio. Well, thank you for the email, Chris. We appreciate it, and this is really what this show is about, getting your guys' information and, discussing it so that everybody can learn. And I will tell you, I can't remember what shows I've said it in the past, but actually I get a lot of referrals from my business now, but I'm still, the majority of my clients actually comes through advertising on Google AdWords. And basically the way I got my first few clients is I put up a very inexpensive website that had a basic splash page with my information and my phone number. I had a Google voicemail account, or voice account at the time, and I used that as my business line. So when somebody would call me from my Google Voice number, I would know it was a business call coming in. So that was something free I could do at the time. With that, after I put up the website, I did a Google AdWords campaign. I think I had a $50 coupon, and you can search around on the internet. You can get a $100 coupon to get you started with that. And I did a lot of tweaking over the first few months to get it to where it actually worked for me. but that's where the majority of my clients, most of my clients still today come from searching me on Google. And I've got myself to the point now that my Google AdWords account, I pretty much in my area, I come up on top pretty much every time. So that's how I basically got my first few clients. And then we'll hear from the rest of the panel and see how how they basically got started in their business and how they got those first few clients. Who wants to go first? Anyone?
Well,
Go ahead, Dana.
okay. Hi, we're in our 25th year. Having made a lot of mistakes, I don't think how we got our first clients is really important because we made a lot of mistakes in the early days. Advertising for us was a mistake. Folks, let me ask you a question. What do you figure is most likely to be the first question you hear when someone calls you from an ad? You place an ad, a prospect calls, what do you figure their first question is going to be?
How much does it cost?
Right. Is that the right question to ask first? That's the right question to ask first. You got to ask it, but that shouldn't be the first thing on their mind, should it? First thing on their mind is, can you help me?
Correct.
Right. But they don't know you from Adam, so they don't trust you. We've been working exclusively by referral since the end of 1997. I'd much rather have less business and have it close instantly. My typical client call goes something like, you help my next door neighbor, please come help me, I need you. And I could be there under the person's desk and hear from the client, by the way, how much am I paying you for this? That's usually how it works. Not can we negotiate price now, but there's a direct accountability from a referral source that you're not going to get from an ad. You advertise on AdWords and somebody stiffs you, what are you going to do? Complain to Google? Yeah, we're smaller. And I don't want to be a billionaire or 100 millionaire. I'd much rather have 100 really, really good clients than 1,000 that I have to go chasing for money after or don't like or have no attachment to or whatnot. Maybe that makes me a bad businesswoman, but I'd much rather have fewer headaches of that sort and sleep easier. So I would say work, certainly in the early days, if you have something that differentiates you from everybody else, like you mentioned you're an expert in the auto industry, in some rather niche segment of the auto industry, you might want to start out with people you know within your professional circles. Or perhaps a good way to meet folks is volunteer work at your favorite charities. Good way to meet people is a context other than work.
That's good. Yeah.
Thanks.
Very good. All right, Eli or Chris?
I should go next. Basically, how I get clients is I go to events such as CES 2014 this year. Next year will be 2015. So I will be going to those events and I advertise my business there, and people actually get really interested in it. And they ask, well, how can I contact you? Do you have a business card? I go around my town. I have special discounts for seniors and veterans that are using computers, and that's basically how I go about gathering up people. It was hard, for the first couple of customers because really was just starting out, didn't know what I was doing exactly, and so once I got past that bump in the road, things got smoothed out, and you get in a routine of advertising your business.
Okay. Very good. Chris?
Cool. The business model that I have now is very different, so I can't say what I'm doing now because it won't help you guys. But when I was just fixing computers and going on site and doing all that, all of my business came from me meeting somebody. The two examples that come to my head is that when my my fiance and I, we wanted to buy a new bed. So we went to the Sleep Country. We were looking at beds. I went up talking to the sales guy. By the time I had purchased the bed and set up the delivery date, he had me commissioned to build him a computer for his home. Second example is the auto shop. I had to take my car in to have it looked at. There was something going on with it. I can't even remember what it is anymore. We had a 45-minute conversation about my car and a 25-minute conversation about how he needed to upgrade all the hardware in the shop. By the end of it, I walked out with a job to replace all 3 computers that they had in the shop with new ones, set them up with a managed service plan so that we can keep everything up and running, and I'm pretty sure he spent more money on me than I spent money on him. So, from there, they just referred people. So, we'd wind up having more and more people getting shot in. I didn't advertise. I had a website up that I barely did anything with. So I think it just depends on what kind of a person you are. I'm really good at the face-to-face. I'm really good at talking to people. I'm not so good at setting up websites, doing the advertising, all of that. So I just didn't grow my business that way.
Sounds good. Yeah, it sounds like the 3 of you basically it's more the meet and greet referrals, like Dana was saying, stuff like that. The only reason I've made my business model work for me as far as advertising is, and I've never been stiffed on a payment because I'm usually holding the customer's computer at my home and it's never an issue. But I've always had a unwritten policy that if anybody complains about anything, I will give them a 100% money back, money back fee. So they can have their money back, no harm, no foul, and I've never had to use that in the last 4 years that I've been doing this, So, but that's worked for me. I work a lot out of my own home. I don't really travel around to a lot of places. Most people want a little bit of a discount, so they'll bring it to me, and they like that. So, and again, I raised my prices earlier this year, and I have much less customers, and I make a lot more money than what I was making. So.
Do you have errors and omissions in general liability insurance for keeping things in your home?
No, actually, I looked into it a long time ago, and I personally never did. And again, it was one of those things where the way I looked at it was once I get to the point where I'm doing a lot of business, it's definitely something that I think is definitely needed. For the small amount of business I've been doing over the years, it wouldn't have been cost effective for me to do. It was very expensive. So
okay.
And I understand that I understand there's there's liabilities and stuff like that. For even general just slip and falls even on your property and stuff like that. So I mean, there's a lot of things that your homeowner's insurance, because that's a good point. Your homeowner's insurance won't cover any of that stuff.
Nope. You
have to have a rider. And it costs, I can't remember what the quote was, but it was a good amount of money. So, and to be honest with you, most people are probably that are starting out like I did in their home, doing whatever. They're probably not going to, even though it's a good idea to have insurance and stuff, they're probably still not going to, not buy into that. But I would still suggest, check it out, and if it's something that you can. Is feasible, it's definitely good to have, and especially as your business grows bigger.
Yeah. Also, we go to them. I never take anything in my office or home office. The only exception really is if I need to recover data from a hard drive and don't need to send it to OnTrack or one of the data recovery experts. If
right.
For whatever reason, like the SATA doc that I brought to their site doesn't work, I try another one in my home office. Other than that, everything stays with the client. Never leaves their premises.
So I do I do remote now. I'm really good at doing connecting with a customer's PC and remotely working on it, or I go on site, or I bring it back to the house. I kind of do all 3.
Okay.
Depending on the situation. I mean, if the computer's really messed up, the hardware needs to be fixed. Then I'll bring it back to my office here and work on it.
And with that being said, for some, I don't know why this is how my business is, but I literally, pretty much all the computers I get in here are computers that have been not working well for 6 to 8 months, and finally Internet Explorer broke, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back. And so I've got to go in and not only rip all the viruses and stuff out, but I've got to basically fix the system so that it's operating correctly, because it hasn't been operating correctly for like I said, 6 to 8 months, and people just deal with it until they can't get on the internet. That's really what it comes down to. Nobody says, hey, my computer's running a little bit slower, maybe I should have somebody check it out. I don't get those types of customers.
You can see that farmers rip you off.
Chris, any thoughts? Any more on that?
It's okay. Here's where you gotta look at it when you're looking at things like that: is how much money are you gonna wind up spending out if something happens?
Right.
Right. Versus how much money are you gonna spend out on the actual insurance?
Well, and it depends on it depends on what it is. I mean, that's the liability that you take when you're not operating with insurance. Even if you're going out to a person's home or whatever, it's still good to have that insurance, because the use case scenario is if I'm walking through and I trip and smash into somebody's big screen TV in their home, so I mean, that's the wild things out there that you wouldn't really think of, but that could actually happen. And if that happens, you've got to be able to replace that TV. And so, yeah, it's one of those things where it's tough, especially when you're first getting started. But I was just looking at the chat room, and Corin said he said most U.S.-based home businesses for general liability and property is $425 to $500. If it's that low, then that's pretty good. Because I know I was looking into it, I never saw anything like that.
Wait, I'm sorry. This is on Podnutz.com live?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Just don't start the video, or it's gonna get real echoey for you.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, the way I work is that I have those customers that come in sometimes and they're like, oh, I can't start a game on my computer. And I said, well, did you ever think you might have a virus on there? And
right.
Eventually I get it worked out, and their game finally comes up, and then of course when I work on a customer's computer, I say, now I'm working on this computer at your own risk. If something breaks on it that's beyond my control, there's nothing I can do.
Right.
They're going to have to replace it, basically. And most of them are fine with that.
Yeah, it's the use case scenario where I look at, I go, if I do break something in the customer, or even if I don't break something, if something breaks while it's under my control, yeah, I might have to, shell out for a new laptop or, whatever, something like that. So you got to weigh those things. Now, again, I've never had it happen yet. Not to say that it won't. And and even speaking from that standpoint, one incident could shut your business down. I mean, the one thing that I did do is I became an LLC as soon as I started my business. I didn't even mess around. It was too cheap to do it. I created my LLC, and and that was just to separate my personal from my business. So, but not saying that again, something could happen to the business because of one mistake. That's just that's the chance you take, I guess.
For a break-in.
Yeah.
Because that's my big. I'm not so worried about whether or not I'm going to fry something. I use UPS, so I'm really careful about stuff like that. But what I'm more worried about is if somebody breaks in and takes everything while I'm gone for a couple hours.
Right. Well, if they get past my German Shepherd, then they can have whatever they want. It's the way I look at it.
Chris, you live in Toronto, in Canada, where everything's peaceful and everybody likes people.
That's
they
what
have robbers there.
What was that again, Dana?
I live in dirty, greasy, crime-ridden New York. You live in Toronto, which is clean and people are nice.
Well, actually,
You actually
first off, I don't live in Toronto, but second off, I've been to Toronto a number of different times, and I get freaked out by some of the stuff that happens on those streets. Like, some guy came and put his hand on my shoulder and asked me if I was safe. I had no idea if he was asking me if I was a drug dealer. But apparently, I said, yeah, I'm fine. Oh, no, apparently he thought I was a drug dealer. He was waiting up the street because I told him I was safe. I had no clue. Stuff happens up here, too, you know.
You sure he wasn't a missionary? Maybe he wanted to save you if you weren't already safe.
Maybe.
There you go.
Maybe.
So, anyways, do we have any more as far as getting in first customers? Do we have any more to add to that question? I think we kind of covered it. If anybody has anything to add, speak now or forever hold your peace. Anyone?
I know that I know that you can go out and advertise and bring in business if that's what you're good at doing. I know that you can make those relationships, get those referrals if that's what you're good at doing. At the end of the day, your best business is going to come from people who already trust you coming in through the door. And those are the people who are referred by current customers that you've made happy. So the trick is, you know, what kind of a person are you? Are you the type of person that can sit down on a one-on-one, right? Join your local chamber. That's dirt cheap, like a couple $100 a year. Join the local chamber, get to know the other business owners. They probably have referrals for you. They're going to be looking for referrals from you as well to get more business for themselves. And generally, you wind up getting discounts on things like liability insurance and all those other things that you need to have to run your business properly. So start there. If you're a people person, start there.
Keep in mind also that the Chamber of Commerce will allow as many computer professionals at a meeting as will join. There's a business networking group in 59 countries on 5 continents called BNI, Business Network International. They only allow one person per profession per chapter meeting, and they have 50,000 some chapters throughout the world. If you're getting referrals from non-competing professionals and you're the only IT person in the room, pretty good chance you'll end up with better, more referrals, and not have to worry about going to a meeting to compete for business.
That's a good point. Yeah, there are different things out there like that, and I've looked into local BNIs in this area, and I've got a couple of friends that are a part of them. So I've looked at that, and I've looked at, you know, like Chris said, the Chamber of Commerce. There's a little bit of a price difference, not much, but yeah, you're a little more niche with the BNI, where, you know, Chamber, you are, you know, wide open to, you know, every business in the area. I build my business on a local platform. And basically, so the businesses that I support locally, the little mom and pop shops, you know, I'm hoping that they're going to, you know, return the favor and, you know, support me as the local mom and pop shop for the area. So, yeah, you know, and the other thing, Chris, you know, you said something. The other thing that I've always done is, here's my philosophy. If somebody calls me on the phone and we don't connect right away, like I can't, you know, we're in a conversation and we don't have this connection where I'm helping them on the phone. Yes, we can take care of that, blah, blah. And they don't trust me from just talking to me, which is the way I've always been. I can, you know, pretty much have a 30-second conversation and know whether I trust you or not. It doesn't really take a whole lot for me. So with that, that's what I always try to portray. You know, hey, I'm your, local, one-man shop. I'm going to take care of your need and your problem right now, and that's what we're going to do. And a lot of people like that type of business. And, you know, but Dana's made a good point too. If somebody calls up and the first thing they ask is price, you know, there are times where I even might, if the first thing they ask is price or a deal or whatever, I might actually just raise the price just so I don't have to deal with that customer, right on the phone. So.
You got to be careful doing that too, though. And I mean, I know what you're gonna say. Especially when you're first starting out, like I'm in the position now where if somebody said it, oh, but how much is this going to cost me at the very beginning of the conversation, I know that I don't want to deal with that customer because they're going to be too much of a hassle.
Right.
But when you're first starting out, and I did it, You know,
We
you
all
get that customer, well, how much is it going to cost? Well, here's how much it is. Well, that's kind of pricey. My response wasn't, well, I'm not going to deal with you because I have to put food on the table for my family and I just started this business. My response was, oh, and I need a deposit for the first hour up front. If they're willing to put down the first hour deposit, they're going to pay you. Take the deposit, do the job. That's my opinion. I wouldn't do that now.
Right.
Now, that's too much of a hassle. I don't need that customer.
That's a good point. Yeah, you bring up a valid point because we've all done that. We've all taken the the not so nice customers just to get practice in the business, and you know what? Maybe we didn't make a whole lot of money, but that's okay.
Well, I gotta say something. Even if the customer isn't nice, treat them with respect because they're giving you your paycheck and they're keeping your business running. And that's the kind of mindset you have to have with all customers, is to treat them with respect, work with them, give them a decent price, work with them on the pricing, whatever's easiest for them. And that will usually keep your business running, especially in this type of economy.
That's good. That's good. Good thoughts. I'm sorry, I was just reading in the chat room. Computer Pro says, I would trust Jeff because of his haircut.
Hey, what's wrong with this?
And it says, I would naturally trust Chris because he's Canadian.
Oh, well, that's a good point.
Oh, my gosh.
Wait a minute, we're talking about haircuts and mine makes the grade? That's frightening.
Oh, man. So, anyways, guys, I'll tell you what. I think we've kind of answered that question. We've gone a lot into, into what's, what to do to get started. And I think we've got different varying opinions, but you've got to, you can start off small. You can start off with little to no, investment and go from there. So, you can try different things. There's a lot of things you can sign up for that are initially free, or are even free tools out there that can get you started, and go ahead and take part in those. Let me follow up with there was a reply that he also gave, Chris gave on something we were talking about a couple of episodes ago.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So
you don't expect me to remember this.
Oh, you will once I mention it. So
okay.
It's probably mostly me that brought it up. So I just want to reference to this. Okay, so let me get this email pulled up. Yeah. I keep getting reminders on it. Okay. All right. Also, if I may append another note to my initial email, I should note that I, like you, wish to focus on residential customers for the meat and potatoes of my business, at least for now. You discussed how big box stores such as Best Buy, Staples, etc. charge exorbitant prices for subpar computer repair services. As one of these underpaid techs with their hands tied, I can attest to that. Though I work for another unnamed chain with a goodly number of stores in the Columbus area, I should mention that this is usually not the fault of the techs, but their hands are tied. People bring in their computers People bring in their computers and a scan is run to check for junk files, antivirus, etc., and automatically recommend a solution which was almost always over the top, if not outright wrong. For example, if a computer with Windows XP came in, this was before the end of life, with a single core processor, 512 megabytes of RAM, and was extremely sluggish because of the large number of startup programs, think Skype, Adobe Reader, etc., running all the time. And if that was not enough, some over-the-top antivirus like Norton 360, which was clearly too much for the limited computing power of the system. Our free diagnostic would invariably recommend the full diagnostic and software repair, which was $150, and was in the same service which was covered under virus and malware removal, broken drivers, etc. The truth is that this computer only really needed unnecessary startup programs disabled. I would do that via msconfig, and a more appropriate antivirus for the system, something lightweight. I personally favored ESET due to its low system impact, as well as a recommendation of more RAM, And depending on what the customer saw their problems or saw as their problems and priority. What frustrated me the most was not just the full software repair was unnecessary, but it rarely solved the customer's problem. Junk files would be removed and caches cleared, but the customer would still have a sluggish system, which was their real problem. These customers just wanted to have their computer take less than 15 minutes to boot up, to be able to check their email and play solitaire, for example. And they still couldn't do it to their complete satisfaction, though, because there was marginal improvement, and they would often not complain.
Yeah.
Me and several of my fellows may or may have not bent the rules and ignored the recommendations which we believed wrong. In these cases, we might have charged them for much cheaper tune-up, which still did not address the startup programs and uninstall toolbars, etc. In fact, I feel like I delivered real customer service despite getting paid minimum wage and learned a lot about what real service is. I am not sure where I was going with that rant, except to say that there's a huge number of people who would be much better served by real, high-quality, independent techs if only they could be better reached. Anyways, I just wanted to throw in my 2 cents and to mention that there are good people at these large chains, and at least in my experience, this huge corporation that are ripping customers off and not the $8 an hour techs. That being said, I believe my store may have been rarer than I would like to think. And I do not know that no one on the show was implying that techs were bad people. I simply wish for them to be unintentionally lumped in with the company providing the services. Once again, great show, and really look forward to this week's show. Sincerely, Chris. All right. Well, look, hold on for a second. Let me follow up with because it's funny. Before the show, there was another email that came in around the same thing, and then we'll let you go, Dana. You can tear into that. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, this comes from Andy Gonzalez. It says, "Hey Jeff, my name is Andy. Sorry if this email gets a little long, but it will come full circle. Most of it is some information regarding big box repair. But if you'd just like to skip to my question in the last paragraph, okay. I'm a tech at one of these big box stores that offer repair services. I've worked a few different locations as well as traveled to others to help out. I know everyone has heard horror stories about clients' experiences at these places, but I can attest that there are some very talented techs out there in these types of places, but will admit they are few and far between. I've been a tech for about 2 years and think these types of places are good for people starting out. In 2 years, I've worked on probably thousands of machines. I've seen all sorts of weird, wacky, and crazy problems from hardware to software to the old guy still hanging on to his Windows 95 machine. I've taken apart desktops, laptops, phone tablets, video game consoles, TVs, just about everything in the hopes of a repair. The best part about it is even if you screw something up, you don't have to worry too much as the company has different ways to make it right and it doesn't come directly out of your pocket. It is a great place to learn. One of the problems we have, though, for example, I have currently 32 machines on my bench, or at least waiting to be on my bench, and I'm expected to complete these repairs generally same or next day, which I don't understand why, because this is just me, but usually people will say they have to wait for the computer for 2 or 3 weeks, which doesn't leave much time for research. Sometimes I'm forced to recommend a recovery, and a couple of days later, in my free time, I will find a solution to that problem I was running into. My question for you and your guests is that I feel comfortable in my knowledge and the skills to take the next step. I'm not ready for more from a business and finance standpoint to open my own shop, but hopefully find employment with a more technical business or shop. If you were going to take on the new tech or employee, what are some key skills or knowledge you're looking for? It is more education, certification-based, degrees, A+, Net+, etc., or experience. And would you take someone's experience serious if it was from one of these big box stores? Thanks for the show. It's a great source of information. Andy Gonzalez. Thank you, Andy, for the email. And Dana, I know you have plenty of thoughts on this because we've talked about this the other night, so go ahead and go.
Yeah. Oh, God, it has to be about 8 years now. 8 years ago or so, I had an employee who I got to him because I've known his mother for a long time, but he was a tech at one of these big box places, and he developed an incredible number of bad habits.
Yep.
And the bad habits were mostly a result of procedure at the big box place. But also, I found out from him that, well, I mean, let's be serious. Big box needs to make money. They are much more concerned with making money than they are with fixing things. As the tech even said, if the tech breaks something, the company will find a way to make it right. Well, when you're Best Buy and you screw up somebody's, drive, and it costs $3,000 from OnTrack to get it back, to get the data back, yeah, sure, Best Buy can afford that. A small business would never employ somebody who's even remotely close to well, let's just say we would never employ somebody and give them the opportunity to mess up at that level unless we knew they were really, really expert. Even real experts can screw up once in a while. But bottom line, yes, I'm gonna paraphrase what the guy said. Big box is a good place to fail. No, seriously, it's a good place to get a lot of things wrong because theoretically you have senior people above you who can fix it when you mess up as a junior person. If you want to get out of that environment, I would say just be truthful about what you know. Take on only as much as you can handle. It's okay to say no. It's okay to say I don't know. Probably find a better way to say I don't know so long as you're honest. If you've seen a Mac once or twice, or you figure, it's got a GUI so I know what I'm doing because I'm an expert with Windows, don't handle a Mac and say you're an expert if you're not an expert. There are differences. It's not just little nuances. So what? So be truthful. Realize you're going to pick up bad habits in the big box stores. And if you were to go to work for a consulting shop like mine, you'd probably get a pretty thorough technical interview that would probably ferret out any bad habits you may have developed as a result of working for the big evil corporate monster. That should be enough on that subject. Okay. I don't know. Was that anything? Was that useful?
Oh yeah. No, that's a good opinion. Chris?
Yeah, I am going to add to that. Okay, so my idea, other than the sit down, let's talk, because there's two parts to a tech, right? You want the tech to be able to talk to the customer too, so you have the customer service part of it, and you've got the technical part of it. Now, the customer service part of it, that's what I'm concerned with. Like, if you know enough not to electrocute yourself, I can train you. That's what I want. I want good customer service. So I'm going to go through a customer service interview, and then I'm going to slap a computer down that I did something to and see how quick it takes you to either say, I really don't know what's wrong with this computer, or fix it. And I'm okay with either one of those two, because if someone's going to turn around and say, I don't know what to do with this, I can show you. I can teach you that. I can teach somebody how to do it. I have A+ books so that I can have them sit down and start learning on their own. I do not want bad customer service, and I don't want somebody who thinks that they know everything when they don't.
Good point. Good point. Eli, you got anything to add to that?
I'd like to agree with Chris there. I mean, I was always taught to be a teachable person, you know, and I used to work for Office Depot, the big corporation that takes computers in, and they don't really, to my standpoint, they don't do a whole lot with a computer that somebody brings in. You know, they plug it in, they tinker around a little bit with it, but they don't really do that much. They kind of cover up the symptoms of the computer or what's wrong with it, rather than actually going to the problem and fixing it. And that's the problem I see with big corporations, is they're just money hungry, and they'll cover up those minor problems, and later on they become bigger problems. And then the customer's like, well, what do I do now?
Right. Well, and I'll end with this. Basically, no, all techs that are at big box stores are not bad, because I actually know several of them that have left the big box stores and basically went to start their own business, because they were, they knew enough from the stuff they learned, and then they learned on their own to do other things, and they said, you know what I'm doing here is not really, I'm not allowed to do what I know I should be doing. So they'll leave and they'll go do something else. But I think it really comes back to the standpoint. I believe that if somebody is teachable, that's really what I'm looking for, even if you don't know everything. Because to be honest with you, I've run into all different techs at different levels. I've run into senior techs that, I'm sitting here scratching my head going, I don't know what's wrong with this thing, and I'm having a hard time figuring it out, and they don't know either. And I'll sit there and finally figure it out. The biggest thing that I think you need to be as a computer tech is you need to be a troubleshooter. If you're not a troubleshooter, you really can't fix anything, because if you're just going to follow a process in a program, when you get hit sideways with something, you've got to be able to think outside of that process or program and go, how am I going to get the information to be able to fix this problem? And believe me, there are some techs that they don't know how to do that if it's outside of their process or their programs. So that's really what I look for. Be a troubleshooter, and if you can be and I'm going to tell you, hey, if you want to go to the big box stores and get some time with computers, like Dana said, you are going to learn some bad habits because the way they do things is not correct. If you're grabbing a machine and throwing a disk in and letting it do the work for you, you're not really learning why that program's doing what it's doing. And you really need to know some background on what it's doing, because if we just use automated programs, pretty much anybody can do that. But we all know that, I've had many computers come from big box stores to me that I fixed that they have said it was they've said was unfixable. But I was able to take the time and effort to figure out what the actual problem was. They're not allowed to.
Right.
So their hands are tied. So.
But that's the thing, though, is that you can teach troubleshooting. The problem is that if somebody already has those bad habits, and I'm not going to say which store it was because there's a whole thing there, but I worked. They wouldn't hire me as a tech. They hired me as a sales guy. So that just goes to show what kind of person I am, I guess. But I saw the techs that were working in the back, and they had no idea what they were doing. What they knew is that when a computer came in and the customer said, I have a virus on the computer, their response was, oh, okay, well then we have to reinstall Windows. And that'll be $100 and however much dollars.
Right.
Which, hey, you know what? $129 is not a bad price for virus removal if you're removing the virus. If you're just nuke and paving, I don't even know why you're bothering to charge for that. You're putting in a disk and walking away because you don't know how to reinstall Windows. It's being slipped.
Right.
So, why it's just this whole thing where these big box stores are trying to take these minimum wage, here minimum wage is $11.45 or something like that. So they're trying to get these guys that are making about $12 an hour to make them as much money as possible off of these computer repairs by saying, here's what you're going to do, and if it doesn't fall into one of these three things, we're going to ship it off to wherever the other repairs are done, and that's where it's going to get handled. And that's all they do. So I wouldn't say that I wouldn't hire somebody from that place because they worked there. I know that I would probably be very critical on the skills that they say that they have, and that they would need to prove that it's not just the bad habits that they were taught. But at the end of the day, isn't that how you're going to treat everybody? Everybody that comes in the door that says that they're a tech could just be somebody that learned from YouTube, right? So you really have to check on everything that they say that they know.
Yep. No, those are good and valid points. Yeah. Wait a minute. That's how I learned how to be a tech. No.
Oops.
My secret is out. No, everybody knows my origins. Well, I don't know if everybody knows my origin story, but basically my origin story.
Jeff, you're not a superhero.
Well, yeah, I can be. But basically, I started off with, I grew up with a Texas Instruments computer, TI-99, Commodore 64 I had, in the late 80s. And then I really got away from PCs in general And basically, I didn't get into PCs till '99 when I had my first Pentium 2 400 megahertz Dell computer that cost me $1,200 with a 17-inch CRT monitor. It was awesome. But what I used to do, Dell tech support was actually in Texas at the time. And so what I do is I wait till like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and I would call Dell tech support down there, and I'd have a problem. And we'd go over the problem, and they would give me commands on how to fix my problem. And so what I would do is take 3x5 cards, and I started jotting these commands down. So I had a little file folder with 3x5 cards with a bunch of different commands, so I could start to fix my own machine. And that's really how I started. And then, went from there, replacing parts and stuff like that, and started to figure out how the computer works, what parts do what, how the software, works with the hardware, those types of things. But it was an interest. It was really a passion. So I looked at it like, hey, I love learning these types of things. And, that's really, if you have a passion for, fixing computers, you can definitely go far.
I started with YouTube and websites and Google. Like I say, Google is your best friend if you want to find out information. There's a website out there that I can throw out, and if you want to post it up, Jeff, it's called www.instructables.com, and it's got all kinds of information on it, especially about computers, repairing them, modifying them if you wanted to. It's got a lot of information, and I enjoyed the site. But yeah, that's basically how I started, was through YouTube and Google.
Okay. Well, Google still is my best friend today because there are things that just, what's funny, here's the difference though. Back in the day when I first started, I could actually Google something and get the answer. 9 times out of 10 anymore, I really can't do that, and I'm very, very good at Googling. Googling is an art, and now I find something that might be close to the answer, but I still have to think outside of that and figure out what the problem is, and go, okay, maybe I missed this, maybe I did, maybe I didn't do that. Let me try these other couple things. And there's not a lot of times where Google gives me the straight answer where just do this and it'll fix it, because most of the time anymore it doesn't.
Right.
I have to figure it out.
Understand what you're reading, because now you've got all these fake, these fake companies, right, with these fake toll-free numbers, and they're like, well, you can try all of these steps, but if that doesn't work, then just call us and we'll be happy to help you.
Right.
They're giving you steps that are going to make it worse, so that by the time you call them, they're like, oh man, you've got maggots in your RAM, and we're going to have to charge you $250 to fix that. So you can't trust what you're reading anymore. You have to have a troubleshooting mindset and think, like, do any of these steps make sense for the problem that I'm having? And this is something that I've had to explain to, like, my family. I thank whoever you want to thank. That's who you thank every single day that your grandmother doesn't Google search what her problems are. She calls me, okay? Because I promise you, if she started Googling how to fix something, I will get that phone call that her mouse is moving on its own. So,
right.
You can't trust it.
Yeah, also, a lot of folks will do the infamous, just download this.
Yeah.
Sure, a common problem, just download this.
Right.
Download this batch file and it'll make some changes to your registry that'll fix it.
Yeah.
Download this toolbar and it will fix your browsing issues, and it downloads 20 viruses.
Yeah.
And don't forget, you need to download Search Protect so that your search bar doesn't change.
Isn't that
Yeah. Remember Conduit?
Remember
I don't know if you guys get this over there in LA or Canada. We have an Indian firm around here who's doing kind of mass robocalling, representing themselves as being from Microsoft Windows tech support.
Mm-hmm.
And assuming you get beyond that, they will tell the prospect, the mark, that they are monitoring the computer and they see the computer has a virus, and that if they will go to thus and such website, will be able to take off the virus for $199.
Right.
The first time I heard this was from two 80-year-old people who were Mac users.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm so happy they were smart enough to say, well, I don't know who these people are, but we know that Mac isn't the same as Windows, and so we don't need to talk to these people, right? And then I explained to them what was going on, and they said, yeah, it sounded like it was something like that. God bless the old folks with a brain in their head.
No kidding.
You don't have to know about computers to know a scam. And similarly, most of the stuff you see on Google from these call us to fix it places are just awful. And so long as you know how to spot a scam in general, this is just a variant on an age-old thing.
Yeah.
We'll break it for you so that you'll have to come to us to fix it. Old scam.
Well, and I'll tell you, it goes. It's a little more nefarious than just those types of things, because here's what happens. The ones that do get to the point where they actually remote in the system, I actually had a customer that he must have had some documents on his computer that had his Social Security number and his wife's Social Security number.
Nice.
Because once they were remoted into his system, they must have had some search term that they were able to find these numbers and basically showed them. So see, people on the internet can see your Social Security number, and they showed them. Here's your Social Security number. Hey, here's your wife's Social Security number. So he's all panicked. Next thing you know, $350 later, they put some WinZip anti-malware tools on his computer, and they went on their merry way. And he was $350 shorter.
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah, and you know, I mean, this is a not to change the subject, although it's not really a change in subject, but this is one reason to communicate regularly with your customers to let them know about these types of threats that are out there. Like we're really quick to turn around and tell everybody, oh, don't forget to back up everything because of this. We got Crypto Wall and Crypto Locker, and hey, don't forget, if you start seeing ad pop-ups, that's the first sign of an infection. But then we don't tell them, oh, by the way, Microsoft will never call you.
right.
So, if you're not going to tell your customers about that, I'm not saying that it's your fault that they fall for it, but you could have helped prevent it. So, start a newsletter, mention it in conversation, make a little note in your ticketing system that you've told them about it or not. Because really, we're their first line of defense for stuff like this.
Wow. And I'm just looking in the chat room, and John just said that his clients are always getting those calls, and they're paying. One customer spent $1,000.
Jeez.
Wow. So I look at my prices and I go, I'm not expensive at all.
Apparently we're not charging enough. Look, but luckily that's fixable, right? Especially if you pay by credit card, cancel the card company will eventually get your money back, whatever, right? Yes, Corin, a newsletter is what I was talking about.
Right.
Like, a lot of people are starting newsletters and all that. Constant Contact, Lisa from Call That Girl, she introduced me to Constant Contact. I love it. I'm trying to get, weekly newsletters out to my guys. Obviously, I'm not always available to do that because we get busy here, but, just sending it out there and saying, hey, you know what, there's this new threat out there. You guys might want to watch out for it. Or hey, we've got these new things coming out, or hey, here's something else that you can do to try to get more, more business for yourself. You guys can do the same thing, right? There's this new threat out. Watch out for the Microsoft scam calls. Don't forget to call us for your yearly checkup, stuff like that, because really, they're just using the computer, right?
Right. Well, and preventative maintenance. That's really what it comes down to, because nobody, not nobody, but a lot of people aren't willing to pay for that preventative maintenance when it would save them a lot of heartache, that they're having when their systems do go down and they're without their computer. The ones that you can, that finally do have a hard time where they're basically trying to replace their computer every 6 months, you can usually talk those people into, hey, let's do a managed service that will, take care of what you need taken care of on a regular basis, so you don't have to worry about it, and then you can move on from there.
No, exactly. And then all you need to do is set it up, right? And then as long as you configure everything properly, hopefully they're going to be fine after that, and you're not going to really have to deal with it all that much. That's the hope, right? That's the gamble.
Right. Anyone else on backups? Oh.
Nothing, eh? Okay, that's okay.
Oh, we could go on and on about backups.
I know. It's it's the age. But I think what we're saying is that basically, you need to inform your customers what they need to know, and a lot, whether that's through a newsletter form, phone call, things on your website, things to educate them to keep them out of harm's way as best as we can, because that's what we're really in the business to do. And then when they do have something that they run up against, hopefully they do have their backups done, or they do have, some preventative maintenance in there where it makes it an easier job to clean it up and get it back to them, versus, yeah, it's going to be 4 or 5 days before I can get this back because this thing is so messed up, that type of thing. What's the normal turnaround time on computers in everybody's shop? I don't know, Chris, back when you started, what was the normal turnaround time for you?
My turnaround time was next day unless I had to order parts.
Okay.
But what I had though was a lot of on-site stuff, and the stuff that was brought back here was usually virus removals or RAM upgrades or things like that. So I'm not a good candidate to answer that question.
Okay. This is turnaround in the shop?
Yeah. So what's your turnaround time in your shop?
Well, first of all, we don't take anything into the shop. We go there.
Okay.
We almost always, for anything mission critical, we're almost always there same day, unless it's right of end of business. For like server down, we're definitely there within 4 business hours.
Okay.
And for anything, we do triage. If we only have X number of people available in the field and we can't do whatever it is remotely, we'll try and get there within 1 business day, unless they specifically say, well, it can wait or I'm going away. But we never take anything in because that's just extra work for everybody, pretty much.
Gotcha. Okay.
And liability.
Right. So you're all on site, and so you take care of business and move on from there.
Or remote. I actually spent all of Friday on 4 different remote calls, 2 of them from brand new customers.
Okay. Yeah, that remote thing is really it's really catching on, because I still think you need to build the customer relationship, but once you do that, it's amazing to me. I fixed somebody's computer and not even thinking about it. I don't know. I had my remote support software on there, and I got a notice in the email that said they gave me access to their computer, and I'm like, I didn't ask for that. I don't really need that. It's not a big deal. But if a customer is comfortable enough with you, they're just gonna, hey, it's not a big deal. I know you're not gonna do anything that's gonna harm me or my household. So, again, it's just that trust factor. So I like remote support. I'm starting to like it more and more, especially when I don't have to get out of my chair.
Well, the way I work with remote support is I have them download Skype and I have them download TeamViewer, and that way I can remain in communication with them through Skype while working on their computer. And they like that because it builds that relationship, that customer service relationship, and while I'm working on the computer. And then if they have any questions or they want me to tinker with this, make this better, that way they can communicate with me easily.
Okay. That's good. How about you, Chris? You like that remote support, don't you?
Oh, I love remote support. Except for when I don't. No, I mean, look, here's the thing, is that, and I'm not the only one that's managed to do this, but you can build your entire business out of remote support. The whole thing.
Right.
The trick is to get the tools so that you can run a remote support session just as quickly as you could something on the bench. Right? And that's what's important. So that's why we use the instant house call. I'm throwing this out there. I'm not pitching for them, but that's why we use instant house call, because of the integrated D7, because of all the tools that come with it. It works great for us, because we're going to be doing 3 or 4 virus removals at the same time. I don't want to have to do all 4 of them manually, so you need to have automation for that.
Right. That's a good point. So yeah, everybody, I think everybody's using different styles of remote support, and you're going to use what works for you and your business. And I do like the ease of some of them. I basically have a link on my website that they click on a link, it downloads a little applet. They always ask me, do I run or save it? Hit run, and they run it, and I say hit start session, and it's as simple as that. So I do like that ease of use. Well, do we have any other things that need to be touched on this episode?
Oh, well, I would like to mention that we have a new chat service up. It's called Baycom, and you can create your own chat room. And it'd be cool if you guys came over there and created a chat room in there, and have another PC Tech chat room over there, and it'd really build the service up, because right now it's in the beta, and you get your free colored name. Everything's free right now while it's in the beta. You just go to www.baycom.net. I'm also a red admin on there, so I'm like a red help. I run it with several other red admins.
Very cool. Yeah, send me when you get a chance, send me the link to that site.
Will do.
Dana, any final closing thoughts that you can add to things that we talked about, or something maybe we didn't cover?
This has been fun.
Very cool. Chris, you?
Yay! No, you know what? I think we've touched on a lot of things, and honestly, and I want to point out too, by the way, thank you everybody for the phone calls and the emails. Like I know that Jeff's been getting a couple of fan letters. I know I've been getting some people just thanking us. Just do yourself a favor when you're sending those letters and say, hey, you guys are giving great information. Thank you so much for that. Throw a question in there. If you're taking the time to write an email, I appreciate all the emails. I also want questions. So send me questions. We'll put it on the show.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's good. Definitely. Same here.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I think let's go ahead and we'll end off the show, and we'll let Eli. Where can people find you at if they want to get some more information?
They can phone me up at my 775-273-8647, or they can email me, northwestblender3d@gmail.com. Pretty soon I'll have my website up, and it's going to be a lot better, more professional, more features added to it, and hoping to have that up here shortly within the next 2 weeks.
Very good. Dana, where can people find you at?
At Dragonfly Tech, dragonflytech.com, 212-713-5250, and I'm Dana, D-A-N-A, at dragonflytech.com.
Very cool. And Chris?
Sure. Hey, are we still putting the newsletter link in the show notes?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So yeah, Chris from Remote Support Tech Team. We do white label remote support for IT companies. You can click on the link in the show notes to subscribe to a newsletter.
There you go.
You can also email me, info@rstechteam.com. You can call us 866-568-2813. Or you can hit us up on TechNibble. It's at Carrcomp, CARRCOMP.
Very cool. All right, well, I want to thank you guys for coming on the show and being with us today and sharing your thoughts and opinions, on everything that's going on in the computer repair world. We thank you for the emails, and hopefully we'll get some more. Yeah, great questions today and great content, I think, about things that people want to know about, especially when you're starting out. You guys can find me over on the Google Plus at Jeffery Halash or Twitter at TechNutPC. You can leave a voicemail at 1-888-697-0162. That's the same number you can call in live every Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern. If you're a computer repair tech and would like to be a guest on Podnutz Daily, email me at podnutzdaily@podnutz.com. If you'd like to feature your product or service on this show, please email me at podnuts@podnuts.com. And if you guys could do us a favor, leave us a rating and review over on iTunes. That would help more people know about us. You guys can also help support the Podnutz Network. The next time you're shopping on Amazon, go to podnutz.com/Amazon. Christmas time is coming, and 'tis the season to be jolly. I want to thank everyone for listening and subscribing to the show, and we'll see you next time on Podnutz, the Computer Repair Podcast. Well, very good show, guys.
Cool.
And gals. I always have to preface that. No, that was good stuff.
Hey, Jeff, check this out on my camera.
Oh, you have a lighted keyboard. I'm
Ooh,
jealous.
nice.
I'm jealous. I want one of those. Which one is that?
It's the Razer Black Widow Ultimate.
Okay. Very cool.
It's really cool. It's got you can adjust the lighting on it, so you can make it brighter, dimmer. It's got extra keys on it. Very expensive.
Is it got the cherry keys on it?
Cherry keys? What are those?
Mechanical keys?
Yeah. It's got the actually no, it's got
The
what is it
brown?
called? No, it's got the
It's the type of connector that
it's got the tactical keys on it.
Okay.
you only gain
So-
like 0.02 milliseconds off of those, Jeff. Why are you freaking out?
What's that?
You gain barely anything for performance on those keys, the cherries versus the browns.
Oh no, I was just wondering. Because Razer comes out with different. They came out with a couple different ones. They had the cherry or the browns. I think they even had the blues, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
I will tell you this, Chris, since you're so young, when you get to be my age, and you still play first-person shooters, every millisecond counts, my friend.
You know what? Since I'm so young, Jeff, I just want to point something out so that you can grow a little bit. We are now charged more money for the keys that click, whereas you guys just have that standard. So there you go.
You're charged more money for keys that click. What do you mean?
Mechanical keyboards, the ones that click when you type them instead of being soft keys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's amazing now that that's a premium feature, isn't it?
Well, it's not. It's a premium feature now, but that's the way they started out, was with mechanical keys.
That's what I'm saying. It's amazing that now that's a premium feature that you pay more for.
Oh, I know.
But it just be like that.
Well, here's the thing. So I've had everything. I've had all different types of keyboards, different manufacturers, and it gets to a point, especially on the membrane keys, where I play or I don't anymore, but I used to play so much that I would actually break the keys.
Yeah.
About a year into the keyboard. So what I'm hoping when I bought a mechanical keyboard is that I can actually, use it for a long time to come. That was my thought process.
Yeah, this particular keyboard is built to withstand a good pounding. I mean, it's extremely built well.
What you need is a keyboard with reinforced WASD keys, because that's where you're doing the most damage.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, folks. It was good to see y'all.
You too, Dana. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having me. Have a good week.
You too. Yeah, the WASD keys. Yeah, those are the ones that I usually break the S key. Not saying that I backpedal much, but I do backpedal.
I do want to point out, though, for those who are paying attention to the fact that I actually game whenever I get a chance to, for the Heroes of the Storm Technical Alpha, I've had to change my key set so that I have a specific, it's the QWERTY line that I need to keep track of, because it's QWERT is where you have most of your abilities in that game. And then there's, the Z key and another key that I can't think of right now. I think it's B. But I'm not using the WASD keys for this game. So it's kind of a weird adjustment to get in.
Oh, yeah. Well, a lot of those, that's why a lot of people with those types of games have the programmable keyboards, because they'll program their shortcuts, to certain keys.
This one has the same one. You can go into the Razer software, and then you can program the extra keys that it has, or you can just reprogram the entire keyboard.
Right.
Yeah. I'm going to do that eventually. I need to get my characters to the point where they have all of their abilities so that I'm not reprogramming the keyboard every day. So I need to get them to the point where they're going to be, and then I'll wind up using the G keys on the side to assign that.
Shoot, you're worried about getting your characters to the point where you have all abilities. I just wish I had all my abilities.
Oh, Jeff, you have enough abilities that you don't need to worry about what the rest of us think of you.
Computer Pro says, I play every so often. We might be close in age. Yes, if we are close in age, that means we're old. Yeah, I still I actually got Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, and it's very sad because normally I'll finish the game fairly, usually within the first week. I try to let it linger on, and I'm probably maybe halfway through the single player. I played a little bit online, and that was fun, and I'm still a Battlefield 4 guy, but I still enjoy Battlefield 4. I don't have the time to play, but hopefully after we get done with this, I will have some time today before I do another podcast.
See, I enjoy playing Halo and Gears of War. I mean, Gears of War 3 is like the best.
But you're a console guy, right? That's on the Xbox?
That's on the Xbox. You can play it on the PC. I mean, they have it for PC.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't have Halo for PC. They only have Halo 1 and 2 for the PC.
Right. And then there's probably not really a whole lot of people playing the multiplayer stuff.
Actually, there still is.
Even on a PC?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because Halo is like real classic. I mean.
Okay. I knew it was real popular. They just came out with the whole pack of all the way from Halo 1 to the newest Halo in a new
Halo
upgraded
4.
Yeah, in a new upgraded package that you can download on your Xbox. It's something like 40 some odd gigs, and you can play to your heart's content. I never really got it. The controllers for the Xbox for first-person shooters, I could never get I guess I could get the hang of them if I played often enough. I just don't. I'm a mouse and keyboard guy.
Basically, the controller for the Xbox is really simple for me because you press the right trigger to fire. You press RB, which is right above the right trigger, and that reloads the weapon. Then you have the melee, which is the B button. Then you have the switch weapon, Y. Then you have the jump, and it's real simple. I mean,
that's like the guy that knows all the people on the sports teams. I have no idea what you're talking about. No, that's the button. The button placements are not the problem. It's the joystick. Getting used to that. The joystick to me is just overly sensitive. So I really have a hard time.
You can change the sensitivity.
Can you? Maybe that's
you can change. You can change it lower or higher. I prefer a higher sensitivity where I switch from one side to the other real fast because, like in multiplayer online, things can get pretty crazy in there.
Well, so on my DPI settings on my mouse, I'm right at, depending on the game, but for the most part, I'm right around 800 DPI. And maybe on certain games I'll go up to 1,000 on a first-person shooter, but that's as high as I'll go. Anything higher than that, it just gets by the time you're trying to shoot somebody, you've gone way past them. So,
on my Razer mouse here, I can go up to 8600 DPI.
Yeah, which would be insane, and I can't imagine you going up to on any game being that high. But
No, I probably wouldn't.
I have my DPI set that high for normal use on the computer. Like, I don't know what your problem is.
I run on my computer. I run 2400 DPI for going around on my 30-inch screen, and that's good enough. It's quick enough for me. Anything faster than that, and again, I'm scrolling past the thing that I wanted to click on.
See, that you need to learn precision mouse use is what it is, and you learn that when you're a first-person shoot. Oh wait.
Yeah. No, that's why that's why I take it down to 800 DPI. Some people even run at 600 DPI. They like the more manual movement. It just depends.
Yeah, but
800 is my sweet spot.
I'm sorry.
definitely try that.
I'm at 5600 DPI. I apologize.
That's still a lot.
Definitely
No,
try that, Jeff. Changing the sensitivity on the controller, because that might actually help.
Yeah.
Because some
If I
people
knew
are
anybody to play with on Xbox.
slower. Huh?
If I knew anybody to play with on Xbox, but that's kind of outside my demographic. And not only that, I really don't want to get spanked by 12-year-olds.
It's it's not the spanking
Hey,
that I'm
there's
worried about.
there's a lot of adults on there too. I mean,
I know.
you might get spanked by me because I'm that good.
Oh, this is not that kind of show.
Yeah. No, I'll stick to the PC. I'm good with that. Plus, I like the visuals. That's where I really get. I like the higher DPI and on the visuals and being able to see things and smoke and all that kind of stuff. I know it's good. Even on the Xbox One, it's good. But there always gets a point where I can upgrade my video card and go to the next generation. Of graphics effects. Not so much. Basic graphics on a lot of these games are pretty much the same. But you start getting into some of the higher effects, fogging and stuff like that. It really is getting amazing. I think they've really tightened back on the realism on a lot of games, just because, I don't know, I guess they don't want it as realistic when you're shooting somebody or something like that. So a lot of it's still kind of cartoonish, even on the Call of Duties and Modern Warfare and stuff like that.
With Gears of War, it's pretty realistic because in number 3 they're using the Unreal Game Engine 3, and those graphics get very realistic.
Okay.
I mean, with Halo 4, it's sort of cartoonish, but more on the realistic side.
Right. Very cool. Well, guys, I think we've had a full, long show, and I just want to thank everybody for coming out, and I think we're going to go ahead and stop the broadcast, and we'll see you guys next week, Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Sounds good.